Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the birth chart reading of Michael Jackson. Now, we talked about the Virgo and the Leo and the Gemini and the Mercury, but we have to talk about that moon in Pisces. And I circled it here so you can see that his moon lies in the first house, and his ascendant sign is Pisces. So this is a huge Pisces person. Now, having the moon, which is your soul and your heart, and it's that part in you that really has nothing to do with your rational mind. It's your instinct. It's what you have to do to feel happy, to feel comforted. And so what now, having the moon in the first house, wow, that's like wearing your heart on your sleeve. I mean, you can't hide your emotions, you can't hide who you are on the inside, which is absolutely, I think, part of what made him so successful as an artist, and also so vulnerable. You know what I mean? Now, Pisces in any case is vulnerable because Pisces, I always imagine Pisces as not having thick skin, even though Michael Jackson said a few times, I have rhinoceros skin, because he was so ridiculed and dismissed by all that tabloid wacko jacko, they called him. And at a certain point, the tabloids just started, like, that was their thing, making fun of Michael Jackson. I think, I'm not sure that he really could sort of not see that and not take it in. And maybe that Virgo sun helped him, because Virgo is more down to earth and doesn't take everything as emotionally, but Pisces does. And Pisces takes everything in. That's why, that's why his creativity was just this unending well of a source for him to express himself. Okay. Now, what is Pisces? Pisces is the archetypes of the mystic, the poet, the shapeshifter, and basically the end point of Pisces is transcendence of the ego, okay? Self-transcendence and connecting with something vaster than the self. Call it God, call it a higher force, call it the universe, call it source, or just the understanding that we're all one, that the boundaries that we put up or that we define are helpful in a way, and to allow us to sort of get a grip and hold on to something, because it's kind of scary to think that there are no boundaries, but Pisces knows something larger. Okay. Yeah, so when Michael Jackson would say things like, first of all, I want to thank God, who is the source of all creation. You can be sort of cynical towards that, because it sounds a bit, let's see, superficial, maybe, or too direct in a way. But when I at least hear that, I believe him. When he was asked after the humongous success of Thriller, that, when he became a mega superstar and everyone wanted to interview him, he was asked, where does the inspiration for the songs come from? Where do your songs come from? And he said, without blinking, God. No extra words, one word. And it's believable. Now, yeah, he grew up as a Jehovah Witness. His mother was a devout Jehovah Witness, and that was his upbringing. But I'm not sure that's the only reason for those things that he felt, because he was a spiritual person. When he was asked in the interview that he gave with Lisa Marie Presley, she still is a Scientologist, and he was asked, "Are you too?" And he says, "Well, I define I'm spiritual. I read everything." And now Pisces is about spirituality. Okay, now spirituality is of course a huge and broad term, but I like two uh, quotes or things that he says that to me are absolutely Piscean in its highest form. Um, Again, in some other interview, he was asked, well, what is your process of writing a song? I hate those questions. I think I already talked about that because really there's no answer to that. And it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's kind of banal, but he says, I can't, and he's honest and genuine. He says, I can't take credit for those songs. I feel that I was chosen. I have a gift, and those songs are, it's like I'm their vessel, or I'm a channel through which they come. I believe that those songs existed somewhere out there, and and then he says, an artist needs to get out of his own way. Artists need to get out of their own way. And what does he mean by that? That is absolutely and total Pisces description. If you want to try, it's very hard to describe Pisces because Pisces is um, beyond language. You know, it's slippery. Um, so because it's about that mysterious vastness. And what he means by that is you can't sit there and decide, well, I'm going to write a song now. At least some people can. I mean, not going to mention names, but the songs. Okay, Pisces. I talked about the skin. It's as if the pores of the skin are larger. Pisces, it's like they're walking around with these antennae that absorb everything for good and for bad. So Michael Jackson can be, he said of himself, I'll be doing something and suddenly I get this tune. Suddenly I have these words and I have to write them down real quick, and then I have the song. And that's how the process went. So being in tune with that creativity or inspiration that is kind of otherworldly is extremely important for the Pisces person in order to remain sane, because Pisces can be really barraged by an influx of information and emotions and feelings that are not necessarily their own, but that they feel as if it were their own, right? Because of that lack of sense of really a fully fledged ego and boundaries. Now, and I said it can be a source of this amazing creativity and imagination and all that, but it can also be very difficult and very painful, right? Because there's so much pain in the world. And when you absorb that or constantly, uh, really, you need to shut it off, shut it out somehow. And the shadow side of Pisces is escapism, or it used to be traditionally connected with alcoholism. But drinking alcohol is just one way of escaping reality. I mean, it can be, of course, drug addiction or being addicted to television, anything to numb the pain. Okay. But engaging in creativity or in meditation, in any form of activity, or, maybe better to call it inactivity, because you're just in the thing, you're just experiencing consciousness itself. Michael Jackson says that he loves being on stage. He feels on stage he can't be hurt. And that's when I heard him say that, or I read that, I felt kind of sad, because of his childhood. But also when he would dance and perform, he repeatedly said this to interviewers, what do you think about? What are you this? What are you that? He says, I don't think, I'm just in it. I'm completely in it. And that's what Pisces need. Pisces needs to immerse themselves in their utterly subjective inner world, because for Pisces that's real. And then they can go out, as it were, and deal with the objective world. Okay. Now, how many times has Michael Jackson been described as otherworldly, right? Being connected with another world, with a higher force, with invisible energies. That's Pisces. And I want to read some quotes about his dancing and listen to all the Pisces imagery. Let's see. Steven Spielberg, after MJ passed away, said his talent, his wonderment, and his mystery make him a legend, right? So, of course, he was super talented. And wonderment is a word that Michael Jackson himself used a lot, as well as magic. He always says, I love magic. And right, he was referred to, the whole phenomenon was referred to as Michael Magic, right? Isn't the moonwalk kind of magical? It's like you're defying gravity, it's this gliding, right? And it looks like you're going forward, but you're actually moving backwards. So that is so Piscean to me. There's everything gets mixed up, it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland. There's this play with reality, right? But let's see. Oh, and I love what Martin Scorsese says about him, because he directed the video Bad. And he says, I was in awe of his absolute mastery of movement on the one hand and of the music on the other. Every step he took was absolutely precise and fluid at the same time. So precise, Virgo, fluid, Pisces, right? Mutable water, taking on the shape of whatever the water is in. So fluidity is the wonder, and quicksilver. Everyone says that about his. Yeah, he says, continues, and he says, it was like watching quicksilver in motion. It's that thing that as opposed to Virgo, Pisces is intangible. You can't catch it. And, Michael Jackson is always referred to as elusive. With his dancing, Jackson left behind everything mundane, messy, and predictable. Love that. Okay, so let's just wrap it up. And before I forget, we talked about that Pisces moon, but what about Pisces rising? And I don't want to make that too long because, it's already becoming so long. The rising sign is the way that we dawn on people who don't really know us. It's like the first impression, or it's the style, our style, the way we walk around in the world, the way we present ourselves. Okay. So we can say that Michael Jackson had the identity, which is the son of the perfectionist and the craftsperson. The soul, which is the moon, so Pisces, the soul of the poet, the mystic, and the shapeshifter, right? And he wore the mask, also of Pisces. so his the way that he dawned on people was with all that Pisces energy and the archetypes that I just talked about. And that's why a lot of people say it's hard to pin him down. Who was he? Who's the real person behind the mask? Pisces is the shapeshifter. Yeah, so was Michael Jackson a delicate, soft-spoken, kind of vulnerable guy who didn't feel comfortable around people and was lonely and sad? Or was he a shrewd businessman? Well, he was both, because he had that Virgo Mercury, very strong mercurial aspect to him, right? And a very strong Pisces, not to mention the Leo and the full moon phase, which I didn't even get around to talking about. Okay, so thank you so much for listening.